Well, hey there, everybody. How you doing? My name is Amy Van Dyken. I am a 6-time Olympic gold medalist, and I am also a T11 paraplegic, which makes me a wheelchair user, if you could hear my brakes. Very fancy. So listen, a lot of people have told my story through the years. I've been injured now for almost 9 years, and I have heard so many different variations of my own story. So I figured, let's get on here and I'll tell you my own story. Now on Instagram, I do what is called teachable moments. And I think what I'm gonna do here is do those, but do them on a larger scale. And it really is a lot of fun. It just kind of, everybody learns about everything from everybody else. And a lot of people learn new things about people who are disabled, like myself. So let's go ahead and get it started. So I started swimming when I was 6. I was not good. I'm a severe asthmatic. That caused a lot of problems. And so hold on, break. Wheelchair users are always clicking and clacking, right? So when I was 6 years old, I was the worst swimmer. I couldn't finish one length of the pool until I was 11 years old. And I won my first blue ribbon when I was 12 years old. And I just thought I was the next coming of the greatest swimmer, Janet Evans, that had ever been. I was not. And it took me a long time to realize that I was not. I went to high school, and I think that's where I got really brought back down to earth, because it was the time where you had to try out in order to be on a team, right? So we had to try out. It was only the top 28 swimmers made it. And I swam as hard as I could and as well as I could. And I was really hopeful. And then the list was posted, right? So I started number 1. Really, in the grand scheme of things, why I started at number 1, I have no idea. But at the time it made sense. And now I look and I go, oh my God, you're an idiot. I went all the way down. I was the last one picked. And that was fine. And we were at the very first practice, right? And the only thing that my goal, and the reason I say that it was fine that I got 28th, is because my only goal was to make that team, which I did. So the very first day of practice, everyone's getting in the pool, and the coach calls me in her office, and she's like, listen, you're not good. So I'm not going to swim you very much this year, but if you keep coming to practice every day and you keep getting better, I'm going to put you on the relay for the last meet of the year. Now, everybody knows, I didn't know, that the last meet of the year counts for absolutely nothing. Like, who cares? But I did, because I had earned my spot on the relay. Now remember, this relay had one state since the earth had cooled. So it has been a long time. So this was a lot of pressure. And I remember I was sitting behind the blocks, and I had a towel over my head, and I was doing all the nervous willy-dilly things that athletes always do. And as I did that, the other 3 girls from my relay team, they walked in front of me. To this day, I don't know if they knew that I was there. And honestly, if I'm speaking honestly, which I should be, I don't really know that I want them to know that I was there. But what they said changed the direction of my life, like, forever. This was the 80s, so bear with me, we talk differently. Oh my God. I know, like, Amy Van Dyken's like totally on our relay. Like, gag me with a spoon, as if. So for those of you that weren't born in the 80s, go look that up. It's not good. And they walked away, and you guys, I was so brokenhearted. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, these were the girls that I was at practice with every day, and I watched them compete, and I wanted to be like them. And I finally was, right? I was on their relay. But then they just told me that I was so awful that they didn't want to swim with me. So after I got all over all the feels, right? So I got angry, I got sad, all of it, all of the, like, whatever, 10 stages of grief. How many stages of grief are there? I don't know, I'm gonna have to use the Google machine. But all the stages of grief happened, like, right then and there. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? You're not in my heart, you're not in my soul, you have no idea. Well, we went on that day to win the relay. By the time I was a junior in high school, like, I was breaking state records and the things I swam. When I was a senior, though, this was so cool. I had qualified for the 1992 Olympic trials. That was a long time ago, but I had qualified for the Olympic trials at my high school state meet, which was a pretty big deal. And I just remember thinking, this is so cool. Well, then I had schools calling, right? There was really only, if I'm, again, just saying it how it is, kids nowadays are like, in order to be an Olympian, I have to be recruited by every school in the world. I was recruited by 2 schools. I was recruited by 2 schools, and I went to both of them. The first one was Colorado State University, which I ended up going to finish out my career. But I started off at the University of Arizona, and I just had a great time, but I got super sick, right? So, like, I got mono. I found out at 19 years old that I probably would never have kids. It was a lot. It was a lot. So went home, decided that I was done swimming. And I went to Colorado State, and I ran into the head swim coach, John Matos. And he was like, Ames, I didn't know you were swimming for me. And I'm like, John, I'm not. And he was like, hey, here's the deal. Give me 1 semester. You try for 1 semester, And if you like it, you keep swimming. But if you don't like it, you don't have to keep swimming. And I'm thinking in my head, well, that's not how that goes, John. And he said, if you like it, I will continue to pay for your school for the year. If you don't like it and you quit on me after a semester, I'll still pay for your whole year of school. Now, I'm not a smart woman, but that made complete and total sense in my mind, right? So I was like, absolutely, I'll do it. Well, by the time we'd gone to our very first swim meet, I was number 1 in the country, which had never happened, not even close, nothing like that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Well, by the end of that year, I had broken my very first American record. I was the first American woman to go 21.77 in the 50-meter or the 50-yard freestyle. That summer, I had qualified for the World Championships in '94 in Rome. My coach, John Matos, got to be a coach on that team, and it was so awesome. It was my first experience on a national team, and it was at World Championships. I ended up walking away with a silver medal each in the 400 free relay and the 400 medley relay. And in an individual event, my 50 free, I got bronze, which I thought was great. But there was something inside of me, right, that just kept going. So I kept going, I kept training. I had gone to the Olympic Training Center to train with Jonty Skinner and the national team there. And I'm so glad that I did, because between John Matos and between Jonty Skinner, those two guys made it so my life is what it is today. So I just can't thank them enough. I went to the 96 Olympics. I had qualified for 5 events, whereas in 92, I missed the team completely, not even there. So now I'm in 5 events, right? So I'm feeling kind of sassy. I'm feeling like myself. And I get to the Olympics and nobody knew who I was, which was so great. Everyone was on, Janet Evans and, some of the guys, and it was just very cool. And I was just there watching and in awe. Like, how do these stars do this? Well, I went and I swam. In my very first race, I collapsed on the deck with leg cramps. Got 4th. Not great. Well, then I went on to swim 4 more events, which actually was really pretty cool for me, because I became the first American woman to win 4 Olympic gold medals in a single Olympics. Summer, winter, any sport. And to this day, I broke this in 1996. It's only been tied, never broken. That's right. The great Simone Biles and the amazingly great superhuman Katie Ledecky have only tied. I say only, have tied. I shouldn't say only, because that's flippin' amazing. So anyway, this was 96. Well, I went back 4 more years later, and I knew that this was my swan song. Wasn't really expected to make the team because I'd had 2 shoulder surgeries that were supposed to end my career, but I walked away with 2 more. So if you look at my haul, that's pretty good for 2 Olympics. It's no Michael Phelps, but it's pretty good. On the women's side, this is pretty much up there. So we did that. And then I met the love of my life. His name is Tom Ruin. He played for the Denver Broncos, number 16 in your program, number 1 in your hearts. I was doing sideline reporting for NFL on Fox. I was doing it for the Broncos radio broadcast when Tom was there. And then he went to the Seahawks and I was doing NFL on Fox. So I was one of those reporters. All right, everybody, I'm down here on the field and the view is great. Back to you guys. And that's literally what we think about. So I was doing that. I had done a morning show here in Arizona, Chris and Amy in the morning, and we were number 1. We were doing so great, but I got tired of talking about the Kardashians and their butts and are they real? So I went back to sports. I had the opportunity to meet probably one of the greatest people ever, actually a group of the greatest people ever at Fox Sports Radio. I was on Fox Sports Tonight with Rob Dibble and Amy Van Dyken. Rob Dibble is one of the greatest people ever. He taught me so much about the business and about sports. I can never thank him enough. We had Aaron Larsoul, who was our producer. We had Raider Ryan Payne, who was our technical producer. Sometimes we had Jake Warner. We had a great crew. I was actually the only female voice that was on a show. We had Deb Carson, who was doing the news, which was great. And then she went on to be a part of a show later on. But I was the only female voice, and that was a little daunting, right? So to be the only female talking about sports to a bunch of men, it was a little freaky. But we got it, and we were rocking and rolling, and we were just killing it. We were doing so great. And then we decided, my husband and I, that we needed to take vacation. So we left Los Angeles, we came to Arizona, we went up to, I'm pointing because this is actually where it is. You can't see that, this is a window, and I'm pointing up to the mountains, but you can't tell. Anyway, so we went up to Sholo up here in the Arizona mountains. We had a house in Torreon, We drove up there and we did what everybody does. You pull in, the gates close, and you park your car and you take your golf cart, or you take your bike or your motorcycle, your ATV or your hoverboard until it catches on fire, and then you figure out a different way around the neighborhood. And that's just what we did. And then on June 6th, 2014, it started out normal. It truly did. I went and I took my dog for a walk. Then I went to CrossFit, where I met the guy who owned the CrossFit gym, whose name was DJ, and he was a firefighter, and he was telling me about the firefighter games, and I should go that night. And I was like, absolutely, I will go for sure. Went home and got ready for dinner, and my husband and I like so many different things, right? Like I like all the things, and he likes meat and potatoes, meat and potatoes, meat and potatoes, meat and potatoes, and key lime pie. That's my husband. So we would usually go out. Now we could have walked to where we were going. It was a quarter of a mile away, but I'm 6 feet tall and I insist on wearing 5 to 6 inch stiletto heels. If you knew me in the day, you knew, right? And I could run in those suckers. I was amazing. So we were going to take the truck, and I was like, no, why would we take the truck? You jump on your motorcycle, I'll take my ATV. We'll just have a good night. And we did. We pulled in, we had a great dinner. I had trout and steamed broccoli, which is insignificant and should mean nothing, but it means the world to me. I do remember standing up, and I do remember pushing in my chair, and I do remember saying goodbye to everybody, but that's it. What had happened was normally my husband would take off in front of me first. Had he done that, I wouldn't be here because he wouldn't have found me. Something was wrong with his motorcycle, right? So he's dilly-dinking with it, and he's like, babe, go ahead, go ahead. So I get on my ATV, apparently. This is what he told me, and some people that were around have told me since. I got on my ATV, he said he looked up and he was like, what the hell is she doing? Because there wasn't a scream, not anything, not even a flicker of a brake light. I hit a curb, just like a curb out in front of your house, and I went over a 6-foot cliff. He ran over and he found me. Of course, the ATV was upside down, yes, as they always are. I was face down, and he could see that my back was broken. So he went down. I was not breathing. He rolled me over. He lifted up my neck. I started convulsing, and my eyes went 2 different directions for about 4 to 6 minutes, somewhere in there. Flight for Life came with my first responder. His name was DJ, and he owned a CrossFit box. Flippin' weird how the world works, isn't it? Anyway, so Flight for Life comes. I do remember being in there, and I remember looking at my nurse behind me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I dead? I'm too young to die. And he hit me with more morphine. We got to trauma. I do not remember any of trauma. I do remember the next morning. Now, we were supposed to go into surgery at noon, but because they were trying to get a team together. But the way that I had broken, so normally a lot of people will burst fracture or they'll kind of dislocate, but I fully dislocated. So the sac around my spinal cord had burst, and it's right. So I was leaking spinal fluid like crazy, and I was about ready to become a raisin. If you've met me for more than 5 minutes, you may already say that I am a raisin. We don't know. Anyway, so they went ahead and they did the surgery at 8 a.m. And my doctor was like, listen, you're not listening to me. This is life or death. And I don't know if I can get you out of there. So right now what I need you to do, because we're going in, I need you to say goodbye to your husband. And I did. And it was really matter of fact. Like, it was just like, I'm going in there, I might not come out, and I want you to be happy. I want you to get married. And he pulled me close and he said, babe, if this is too much, I'll understand and you can give up. And I thought of those 3 girls in high school. Who are you? So we went into the operating room. Any of you who have had surgery know operating room can be loud. You know, people are talking and you've got music going. This was dead silent. Not one person was talking. Everyone had waders up to their knees because it's a very bloody surgery. I had to have some blood transfusions afterwards. And I went in and I saw along the wall. Now remember, they're getting me ready for surgery. I'm on some good meds. So I see these people lined up against the wall, right? They've got their waders and igloo coolers. So what do? I lift my head up and I go, oh my God, it's a party, BYOB, yay. Can you imagine? Doc, what were her last words? No. So we had to come out. And we did. 7 hours later, I came out and I was paralyzed from the waist down. Didn't know what that meant yet. All I knew was I was alive. I'm happy to be alive and I'm here. So through that, I have learned a lot of different tips and tricks from myself, from trial and error, from my other friends who are in wheelchairs or disabled in some way, maybe blind, maybe short of stature, all of that. So I am thankful that you joined me here today. I hope that you join me and kind of learn and go through this world with me. It has been 9 years. June will be 9 years, so it's been a while. So let's just hang out here. Let's have some tips and tricks. Let's have some fun. But one thing is, because I do watch YouTube a lot and I know how it gets, if you guys could just please be respectful in the comments, that would mean the world to me. It truly, truly would. So I hope you guys all have a great day. remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to other people, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye, guys.